child, especially if you're not living in Africa, you're living outside. See, so let me introduce you my guest, Mr. Olale.
Thank you very much. Wherever you are watching from. I am Olale from today. I'm a advocate and I'm the father and CEO of Safe Women, an African-led organization that started in England and Wales.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olale, for coming on here to educate people and inform people on the proper way to do things in the UK, especially those of us who are applying for to the UK just because we want a better life for our kids. What value does it make at the end of the day with this IT system? So I made this video is here to educate you, inform you on the proper way, the right way, and also to help you learn the laws around child parenting in the UK so that you do not fall victim to doing the wrong thing and putting your child in the cost of it. So this is going to be like a presentation. So I'm going to put this Olale on with your truth, guide you step-by-step process, give you all the information, go on around parenting the child, especially Africans, because we do things differently back home. But here you can do something different. So let's get started.
Thank you very much once again. Just for clarity, it's about parenting a global child. It's not limited to British or limited to being an African, because there's a United Convention on the rights of the child. And Article 1 says everyone under the age of 18 has all the rights in the convention. While Article 3 let us be able to understand that the best interest of the child is what is so paramount. So the best interest of the child must be the top priority in any decision or action that affects the children. However, when you look at Article 9, it says separation from parents. Children must not be separated from their parents against their will, unless it is in the best interest. For example, if a parent is hurting or neglecting a child, then that children or that child must be separated. However, before they will separate that child, there are things that need to be done. So, for families that are migrating to England or to UK as a whole, let's look at the statistical data. What does it say? Nigerian-born person officially number 191,000 at the last census in 2011. And from that, they have 4.8% of children with child protection plan. When the population of these African children is about 1.8%. You could see the margin, you could see the gap. And that's why we are very, very concerned, because the recent report says in about 2020, it was about 1.7 million that migrated, and that jumped from 990,000. And according to the British statistics, it shows that in 2019, the year before COVID struck, about 14,000 UK study and work visa were issued. And now, when you look at it now, there's about, is it 69% now increase? And at the same time, look at the skilled worker migrants. They are also migrating. So it's a very big concern. And that's why we said we need to kind of give us that basic knowledge. It's not the rules that we're going to talk about today. We just call, let's just give you the guide. That would take me to the Children Act 1989 and 2004. The Act is a United Kingdom Act of Parliament, which allocates the duties to local authority, courts, parents, and other agencies in the United Kingdom to ensure their children are safeguarded and their welfare is promoted. So if their welfare is to be promoted, that means you're bringing children into this country is not your legal right alone. Other stakeholders, individuals are guided under that law to make sure that children stay safe and their welfare is promoted. The responsibility of local authority, because sometimes family wonder why would local authority get involved. They have the power of responsibility to get involved. For instance, local authority intervention on safety and well-being of children and young people. They have to make sure they support and strengthen family, helping children to stay safely and thrive with their family. However, it is only where possible. So that means if any concern is being raised, then they have to intervene. And they have to make sure they use their power responsibly. But how do you want to know whether they use it responsibly or not? That is where the big concern, because they have to balance the needs of protecting their children with the right to family life by avoiding the need to enter care system. Currently, there's a report that says England children's social care system is unfit for purpose. So if it's unfit for purpose, that means the system have to avoid taking children into care. So how do I mean? That means if there's a concern, they have to provide support. They have to understand what is the situation. How can we help this family? Probably they want to provide alternative short-term care. But if there is a concern of neglect, abuse, harm, that means they might say, oh no, we have to take them into care. So
I have a question.
Yes.
So what are the things that might seem very simple or very not that might mean nothing to the normal us Nigeria, that if you do it to your child in the UK, it might mean something big?
Yeah, if you, for instance, now we have different categories why they need to take children into care. First, this could be abuse or neglect, disability, parent illness, but all these ones, it's very rare before you see them taking children into care. Over 63% of children that have child protection plan has to be based on abuse or neglect. And that comes to your question, abuse or neglect. What do we count as abuse or neglect? That's the important thing. It could be physical abuse, it could be emotional abuse, it could be neglect or sexual abuse. Now, for instance, now, there's this slide that came around March last year about ways smacking children in ways has now been banned. And even before that ways, Scotland has made this illegal. And they said it is illegal for you to smack, it is illegal for you to eat, it is illegal for you to slap. And sometimes you just say you tap a child, it might be with full force. And if that child, if there's emotional harm or even you scream at your child unnecessarily, it's a big concern. So for the question you asked, I will give you some instances. And that has to do with why those children are being taken to care. We have cases like that. For instance, a teaching assistant from a school made a referral that a 9-year-old daughter disclosed she had been hit with a bed for making a mess in the sewing room of her mom. Do you understand? Do you underline what then? Hit with a bed. That bed is an instrument. I said but as an African, that was a child from Africa. Can I tell you something? That same child was taken to care because of that incident. But 3 years after, that same child was now she got appearing upset and very late. She did not abide what the man did. What the child said, he said, Mr. Terra had grabbed her that morning. But the mother denied grabbing her collar. But she said she just put her up. If the African community said, pull the child up, it's a concern to them. But in fostering home, the foster parent pull the child up, it's not a concern to them. And they said, the foster parent further said the child have a challenging behavior, and that morning was so difficult. This is the same parent, foster parent, that is getting paid to look after that child. But that parent that might be that child might be a single mom, out of stress, out of frustration. Maybe she did that thing. However, how do you correct that parents? How do you enlighten them that you should not do that? That's not acceptable. But they allow the foster parents to go for training and keep that child, but they cannot allow the birth parent to go for training. And that teaching assistant that even said a child made disclosure in that same school, it was the headmistress, assistant headmistress of that school, that fostered that child with a partner. So if a concern is being raised, it depends on who raised the concern. And it also depends on who are the people that look into that referral. Probably it might be malicious referral. To portray the point, there's another instances. A family moved to UK around 2 months to that time. And there's this, they said the child has a challenging behavior, and they will allow a resource worker to come to their house so that they can support that child to boost self-esteem. Guess what? On the first appointment, take a walk with the child. They said the child cannot return back home because the child said mommy used to physically abuse him while he was in Nigeria. And also when he came to UK. They took that same boy with other siblings.
So what I want to ask, is it appropriate for school to question children?
You know, school is a very supportive environment that you have to make sure a child is stable and they are trained on how to identify risk of harm or abuse. So, but there's a law that said that they have to interview that child on with an adult. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I want to ask you a question. There's an article I read that there are some things that you might do to your child that would land you in jail as a parent.
If you look at that slide that I just mentioned to you, they said this, they clarified that if you do that, it will apply to everyone. That they might arrest you. You might be charged with assault. And if you are charged with assault, then you have a criminal record. You understand what I mean? Because once they said something happened, there are process, policy, procedure. For instance, it's not just that they just jump into your house. No. If a concern is, it might not be from school. Ordinarily, if a GP, you go to GP appointment, and they were asking some question from you yourself, whatever you say sometimes might call for a concern, safeguarding concern, and they have to refer to stakeholders or partners that are involved. Midwife can come to your house if you are pregnant, and through conversation, through discussion, they might pick up some words or some statement you made, and they use it against you. We have many occasions like that. It's rampant. They have many occasions like that. And if a concern is being raised, they're supposed to go through what we call a strategy meeting. In that strategy meeting, they will involve key stakeholders, health visitor, they will involve the school, they will involve the police, and the social worker might be there, will definitely be there. The team manager might be there if necessary. It is through that meeting they will discuss whether there's any risk or likely harm. For instance, one of the family that we supported, the child supposed to go for break during the break time, lunch time, and the child refused to go. And the teacher asked, "Hello, love, are you okay? Is everything okay? Why can't you go to play with your friends?" He said, "I don't want my clothes to get dirty." Guess what happened? Police and I said, and from there, they will start asking, "Do you want me to another group?" It depends. So from that strategy meeting, it might lead to child protection plan conference.
Okay.
From there, if there's no concern, they might say, okay, do we do section 70 assessments? How best can we support this family? Or alternatively, if there's a concern, they might set section 47 inquiry investigation. And through that, they will go to your GP as well. And from there, they might check their body, whether there's any signs of mark. And if it's an unexplained mark, that can come for another concern.
Okay, so I want to ask, like, what is the general advice you give those? Because the truth is, when you're coming to the UK, you're not taught, you're not educated, you're not even giving parenting training. Be like, oh, since you're not a British person, you're not come and take parenting class as the fact that you're new in the UK. Nothing like that is done. So most of us Africans with kids, we just use the style we are used to and be like, okay, this is how my mom trained me. Oh, please, let me train my child that way. You get, but we don't know that it is wrong to do that. So, what are the things like you would advise someone with kids in the UK? What are the things for them to do, not to do? What are the things not to say?
You know, the same way people are passionate to travel out, to migrate, I would say the same way you should be passionate about your children. And first thing is, you should have a willingness to learn and unlearn some parenting styles or upbringing. You cannot say, you cannot say the way you are being brought up, you want to bring up your child again. This is the 21st century. There's a world of technology. So there are better ways to do things. And first of all, train yourself before you want to train a child. Because you cannot give what you don't have. If you want your child to well behave, to respect people, to value people, to appreciate people, to be open, to be honest, then you too, you have to be open, you have to be honest as well. And first of all, try to make sure you don't put too much pressure on yourself. You are stress-free. You are mentally and emotionally stable. That is very, very important. Mentally and emotionally stable. Because sometimes it is out of stress, out of a frustration that you put that anger on a child or on your spouse. And as a family, build strong relationship and good communication. Communicate effectively with your child and let your child know. Try as much as possible to be open to your child so that your child will be free to express any of their concerns to you. The same way some people will come to this country, started working, you've been discriminated at workplace, you are facing some challenges. It's the same way these children are new to the system. Sometimes the children are exposed to what we call bullying in school, and they want to talk to you as a parent, but you are not there physically. You are there physically, but mentally, emotionally, you are not stable. You are not stable. And there's something we call family values. You have to make sure right from the beginning, when they are very young, you set a family value. And you also try as much as possible to know how to maintain control, set boundaries, and dealing with issues calmly. You have to deal with issues calmly. For instance, if your child did something wrong, sit them down, talk to them, take them out, create that bond, that relationship with your child, and don't leave them unattended too. Some people might leave their children at home. Probably they said, in Africa, it's one of the responsibilities that elder child can look after younger ones. It's acceptable where you're coming from. But here, it's at a certain level you can do that. And it's not even advisable to do that. Okay? Because every child are different from each other. You can have a child of 14 years old and might not develop to that as of that age level. And if you leave such a child to look after herself or himself, that's fine, if it's well developed. But to look after other siblings, that's not acceptable. But some people are doing that, which is not supposed to be. If you do that, there's no problem, fine. But if there's a problem, it's a big concern in this country. Lack of supervision is a very, very big concern. And not only that, when you come to this country, first of all, try to register with GP, try to register with dentists, Because, like I've said, if a concern is being raised and they are going to do a strategy meeting, these are the people they are going to bring on the table for them to check, to do tick and check whether you missed any appointments, whether you regularly take them to school, whether they make up the attendance level, how they are dressing, look after them. Some parents, they don't even know what their child is putting on, how to, it doesn't cost you much to be clean, to dress nicely. The same way, when you are bringing up your child in this country, you have to look after them. Make sure they are kept well, enough food at home. They didn't say they should not have mark on their body. There are some stretch mark, sometimes they might even fall and they have a mark. Just note that. So that when they ask you for such, you will not be saying that you don't know. That means you are not paying attention to your child. That's neglect. Mode of discipline. They are not saying you should not discipline your child, but it has to be reasonable. But the concern is, how are you going to justify it is reasonable? That's where the red line is. So something that you know yourself that this is correct, this is not fair enough, that you don't even expect somebody to do to you. In fact, when you remember that they did that to you when you are very young, you know how you're going to be concerned. So the same way, you should not let your child pass through that, because it's a traumatic experience for you to neglect your child or for you to subject your child to such abuse. And when they are not taking them to care, there are a lot of outcome that is not good enough. Because once they go out to care, for them to come back to you is difficult. And not only that, when they come back to you eventually, it's more challenging. For instance, now we've been able to get over 25 children back to their family from care system, and we stop about 20 to 30 from going to care. But those children that are back now, the system is not supporting them. But these are the children that when they are in care, they are spending so much money on them.
Thank you so much for this insightful video. Do you have any final words, any advice, anything that you did not really mention that you really want to talk about? Like your final advice to everyone watching this?
So basically what I'm going to say to round up is that when the first parent came to us, what we did is to kind of advocate for her. At the end of the day, we said, okay, let's develop a course to put her through that course. And after she completed that course, we went back to court and we're able to justify and let the judge know that this parent has been able to learn something out of it. It's a new system about the regulations, about the law, about the conduct, and how to provide support and how to even speak out to ask for support. So through that course, she was able to get her children back. And there's one of this family that said, who said there wasn't a manual? I keep on saying there must be something out there. And taking this course has helped so much. It's like God answers your prayer. So that course is not about condemning you that you don't know how to parent. No, it's about providing guide. And even if a situation happens, if we don't pray for such to happen, but if it eventually happens, there must be a way you communicate with the system. There must be a way you deal with them, to go along with them. Otherwise, it will just be like struggle within the system. So we'll be able to empower you. So if you go on our YouTube, you can see some of the video. We put some of the courses free for you to watch there. However, there are some structured one that you need to enroll for. That will be charged, that will be paid for. And if you do that course, it will help. But what we are saying is that we are not condemning your parenting. Rather, what we are saying is how best can you support your child so that they will become a global child. Even if they are not living in this country, anywhere they find themselves, you will be proud of them. So please get your friends, your family, loved ones to provide that support, because we are coming from a system that there's an external support, and we are now coming to a system that is on your own. It might be challenging. We know that. So please, if you need help, ask for help.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Save the Woman is on YouTube. I'll leave the link in my description box below so that you can easily find access to it. And I'll advise you, honestly, to register for the course because there's no amount needed for your child for saving your child. Trust me, if you've not experienced this before, you will not know what I'm talking about. But please do not get to that point where you have to experience it. So if you're interested in taking a course like a parenting course, just know every single information you need to, save yourself and save your child. Please go for it. Okay, so thank you guys so much. Thank you, Mr. Olalekan, for this insightful video, and thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.
What is Save the Woman is changing the narrative of oppression, and it's impacting the situation one person at a time, one family at a time. Because we decide this cannot go on. We cannot let our people be oppressed. But what we are doing is also taking responsibility by making sure that they are educated and they have the facts. Encourage us and empower us. And for example, Thurgood Marshall said, none of us got where we are solely by pulling ourselves by our bootstraps. We got here because somebody, a parent, a teacher, an Ivy League crony, or a few nuns bent down and helped us pick up our boots.